Hey guys, this is Tejasvi and welcome back to Obora Academy. Today we are going to have Kahoot and I have some participant like they have messaged me in the chat box. Hi Bhavya Shivani. So let's get started in the Kahoot. Now I'll be sharing my screen so that you will be able to see the game pin and you can enter into the game through that game pin. And if you are new and don't know how to join, let me just tell you, you can just go to the new Chrome tab and type kahoot.it so that you get a page, enter the game pin and you should enter the game pin which I give you. But before that, let's go through today's topic. Let's just quickly revise what all we are going to do in today's Kahoot. Okay. Now I'll be sharing my Jamboard and I'll be explaining you within 5 minutes. So I hope you all are ready for that. If you all are ready, please put a thumbs up in the chat box. 1 second, guys. Hey. Okay, guys, I hope you all are able to see my screen. If you all can see my screen, please put a thumbs up in the chat box. So now let's quickly revise what's today's topic. Today's topic is nothing but direct and indirect object. Okay. Oh, 1 second. Okay. So in some sentences we will be having a direct and an indirect object. So that sentences we call it as transitive sentences. Okay. Like we are having a we may both have direct and indirect in only one sentence, so that if uh, if you are having direct and both in direct and indirect objects in one sentence, how do you identify? Okay, so that's the today's topic. If you see for the direct object, a direct object is a pronoun. Okay, so is a pronoun. It's also a noun or a noun phrase. Okay, it can be anything. It can be a pronoun, it can be a noun, or it can be a noun phrase that receives the action of the verb. Okay, all these receives the action of the verb. So these all pronouns, nouns, or noun phrases receives the action of verb. Okay, so that's nothing but a direct object. So, but how do you find it's a direct object? To find, we just have to locate the action verb, that is, and ask what and whom. Okay, these are the words by which we can identify the direct object. For example, Jane. Okay, How do you find out the direct object in this sentence? This is an example, okay? By using these what, this what and whom, you can find out the direct object. But how? Okay, so Jane admires her neighbor, okay, and whom, here we can use whom does Jane admire? Okay, who does Jane admire? Here in the question or in the sentence itself, we are given that Jane admires her neighbor. So neighbor is the direct object here, okay? So that's how you find out the direct object. This is the one example. So if I can give, I'll give you another example also. Just a second. Another example is Charlie. Charlie baked a cake, okay? It's Charlie baked a cake. Here it's the verb and it's the cake. A cake. Charlie baked a cake. So what? What did Charlie bake? That's obviously a cake. Okay. Here in the sentence we are given that the Charlie baked a cake. So that's the direct object here. Hope you all got it. If you all got it, please put a thumbs up in the chat box so that I'll get to know that you all are clear with the concept. Okay. So we have learned how to identify the direct object. So now let's move on to the indirect object. How to find an indirect object. It is also nothing but it's also a pronoun, noun, and a noun phrase. Okay, it's also a noun, pronoun, and a noun phrase that receives the object of the that receives the direct object of a verb. Okay, that receives. So it's indirect. Indirect means it will obviously receive the direct object. Okay, it will go through the direct object and then it will become an indirect object. So it receives the verb through a direct object. Okay, that's the indirect object. But how do you find it? It's nothing. It's so easy. It's always placed between the verb and the direct object. Okay. Indirect object is always placed in between the verb and direct object. Okay, in between the verb and the direct object. For example, Charlie baked his mom Charlie baked his mom a cake. Okay, in this sentence we are saying that Charlie baked his mom a cake. Okay, so for whom did he bake? For whom? Here we should use the keyword for whom and for what. Like in the direct object we have only used what and whom. Here we are using for whom and for what. Okay, Charlie baked his mom. Okay, For whom did the Charlie bake a cake? His mom, right? So that's the indirect object here. So I hope you all are clear with the concept. So now I'll be sharing my screen of the Kahoot game pin so that you all can enter the game. Oh, 1 second, guys. I hope it's very clear for you all. The game pin is 5428654. Okay. I hope you all can see my screen. If you all can see my screen, please put a thumbs up in the chat box so that I'll get to know. Come on, guys, I'm waiting for players. I've got one player, Bhavya. I've got another player, BS. Come on, guys, join fast. I've got three more players. Yes, four more players, Ram, Siri, Sai, and Gayu. I welcome you all. I've got another player, Flozzy. I've got two more players, Funny and Chintu. Come on, guys, I'm waiting for players. Okay, guys, I hope we are not getting more players. So let's get started today. Okay, direct or indirect object. Dr. Hall bought her office staff boxes of chocolates. Okay, come on, guys, find out which is the direct object and indirect object. If you have to find out the direct object, you should use what keywords, what, and whom. And if you have to find out the indirect object, you should use for whom and for what. Okay, I've got two answers already. Okay, guys, I've got all the answers, and six of you are correct. That's very good. So now let's move on to the next question. So Bhavya is in the first, and Ram in the second, and Siri is in the third, and Chintu is in the fourth, and Funny is in the fifth. That's very good, guys. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question is, mindful of the hot sun, Sarah offered her dog some water. Here, some water is highlighted. So you have to find out whether it's a direct object or an indirect object. So I haven't got any answers yet. I've got two answers. Come on, guys. I've got only two answers, guys. Come on. Okay, guys. None of you are correct this time. Okay, so no problem. You can try in the next question. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question is, at our favorite Italian restaurant, my father ordered us an extra cannoli, cannoli for dessert. Come on, guys, you can do it. I haven't got any answers yet. I've got nine answers. Okay, guys, this time five of you are correct. That's very good. So now let's move on to the next question. This time Siri is in the first, and Funny is in the second, and Revati is in the third, and Bhavya is in the fourth, and Gayu is in the fifth. That's very good, guys. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question is Leori Thoughtful reserved his fellow hikers a camping spot. Okay, come on, guys. Leori thoughtfully reserved his fellow hikers a camping spot. So his fellow hikers are the highlighted words here. So you have to find out whether it's a direct object or an indirect object. I've got one answer. Okay, I've got all the answers and four of you are correct this time. That's very good. They are an indirect object. So now let's move on to the next question. So there's a change in the scoreboard. That's Ram have come up. That's very good, Ram. You're on the podium. So now let's move on to the next question. The yoga instructor taught the beginners of basic poses, few basic poses, okay? The beginners, okay, whether they are the indirect object, the direct object, you have to find out. Okay, I've got four correct answers this time. That's very good. The beginners are the indirect object here. The instructor is the direct object. The basic poses are the direct object here, and the beginners are the indirect object here. So I hope you got it. So now let's move on to the next question. Okay, there's a change in the scoreboard again, but Siri is still on the top with three correct answers in a row. Okay, that's very good, Siri. So now let's move on to the next question. And the next question is the for Chinese New Year, my aunt cooks us traditional pork dumplings. Okay, come on, guys. Okay, I've got all the answers and four of you are correct. That's very good, guys. So now let's move on to the next question. Okay, so now Jitu have come up to the fifth place. So that's very good, Jitu. And Ram have the highest answer streak of three. That's very good, Ram. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question is Nina left her hairdresser a generous tip. Okay, so this time also four of you are correct. That's very good, guys. So now let's move on to the next question. Okay, this time Funny is on the first, and Siri have come to the second, and Revati have come up with again in, and she's in the fifth. That's very good, Revati. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question is Nagesh's new job affords her much more freedom than his previous one. Okay, come on, guys. Okay, guys, this time five of you are correct. That's very good. So now let's move on to the next question. Okay, Siri have again come up to the first. That's very good, Siri, and Gaio is in the fifth. So now let's move on to the next question. The salesman offered his customer a discount. Come on, guys, I haven't got any answers. Okay, this time six of you are correct. That's very good, guys. There's an improvement. I hope you all will keep up the same. So now let's move on to the scoreboard. Okay, there's a change in the scoreboard. That's Funny have come to the first, and Gayu have the highest answer streak of three. That's very good, Gayu. So now let's move on to the last question of this session. The question is Millie always buys her family meaningful gifts. Okay, her family is the uh, highlighted words here. Okay, I've got six answers, six correct answers. That's very good, guys. I hope you all have learned something new today. So now let's see the podium. The third position goes to Ram, and the second is Siri. First is the Funny. That's very good, guys. I hope you all will keep up the same. And the runner-ups are Flossie and Gayu. And I hope you all will participate very actively in every session we conduct. Okay, so